Recently, Censored Gaming reported on how the Nintendo Switch's library of Neo Geo titles handles censorship and discovered that the ports are not only based on the arcade versions, meaning that the censorship often made outside of Japan is less of a problem, but that the arcade dip switch settings to remove some of the censorship that remains are also included in the Switch menus. Furthermore, booting up each game gives you the option of playing in Japanese mode, meaning you can be sure you're playing the games as originally intended. However, a poster over on Censored Gaming's subreddit has discovered that this isn't entirely true, as it turns out that whilst based on the arcade versions, one game has actually had an unusual change made exclusively for the Switch version. This means that this is a difference that's never been seen before in its nearly 20-year history. The game we're talking about is the classic 2D fighter The King of Fighters 98, and it all revolves around something that Censored Gaming has reported on in the past: the game's original and somewhat controversial intro. For a brief history lesson to bring you up to date, when The King of Fighters 98 was originally released in arcades, its intro song contained a vocal sample containing both the words shit and motherfucking. Here it is.
Say that shit like you just got your motherfucker. 2, 3. It all began in 94.
It's hard to determine which versions exactly contain this line, with specialist forums such as neogeo.com finding that there are many different releases from all over the world that include the swearing. However, despite this, many versions also do not, and it was something that was eventually removed from all later builds. Here's how the removal was handled. Now, with the Switch port being based on the arcade releases, you would think that the intro would be the same as you just heard, but this isn't the case. The Switch version actually removes the lyrics entirely, even the non-swearing ones, and it also removes the static sound effects, meaning it's completely quiet, apart from the instruments in the background. Here it is. Kinda strange, right? King of Fighters 98 has been re-released countless times in the past, but this has never been seen before. Furthermore, the Switch version is supposed to be a straight up port, meaning changes like this are even more unexpected. It's not really known what's gone on here. Perhaps they originally ported one of the versions containing the swearing, then decided to remove the offending part by completely gutting the lyrics. We also can't rule out the possibility that this was some kind of glitch either, but for this to only happen to this game, and in this very specific, controversial part, is definitely unusual.